Hey, I'm Ryan. This is my brother Daniel. This is Rolls in the Family, and it is 2024 now. It is a new year. It is time for reflection. Get all those habits back on track. Today we are doing some reflection on 2023, and specifically looking at all the new games we played in 2023 and ranking them. So these aren't necessarily 2023 releases. They're just new to us. We aren't the type of gamers that play enough 2023. We'd make our top 2 or 3 list if we did that.
It'd be a short video.
Yeah. But we oftentimes, when we're buying new games, start buying older games that we just, had been on our radar or hadn't been on our radar.
Yep.
So it'll be fun to see kind of what rose to the top here. It is definitely a more first impression-y type of list. Like, I know some of them that I'm looking on my list, I played one time with somebody.
You're at a disadvantage, Ryan. You're at a disadvantage because your birthday's in December and Christmas.
I know.
So you get this inflow of all of these new games right at the end of the year. So
yes, so there's definitely stuff here that I played.
No weight on his opinion in this video.
Yes. It's just a fun, it gets us to talk about some new games. Once we roll around to later in the year and do our top games of all time, that oftentimes is a little bit more. We've had some more time to play some of these games, see how they compare to some of our historical favorite games.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, let's get started. Leave down in the comments, what are your top new to you games in the last year?
What new ones
top 1,
did you
top
get to
3.
The table?
Give us your top 10. Whatever you feel committed
Give us
to
your top 100.
spending time in the comments.
I want someone to put 100 games down in the comments.
I don't know how many. I don't play that many new games in a year, but
yeah. That'd be interesting. Who played the most new games? Yeah, in the comments. That'd be an interesting thing to find.
Yeah, out. I mean, we definitely spend a lot of time playing the games we love a lot.
Yeah,
year over year.
To do that.
So we don't play tons of new games every year, but we do play some new games. We'll have links to all the games that we are talking about in this video down in the description below if you want to check them out.
That's right.
But we need to get started because we got a lot of games to talk about. So Daniel, tell me about your number 10. What squeaked onto the list this year?
Yes, the game that squeaked on is actually the game on my list that I owned the longest before getting finally played this year.
Such a shame.
Yes, and it's due to the legacy nature of it, a game that you gifted to us, and this is going to go to My City. Squeaking on. The only reason it is lower on the list is I'm just not super far into it. We were able to start playing My City with a group. There's 4 of us, and I think we've played through. Oh gosh, we've probably played 6 or 7 games of it, which I don't know how many. I know there's is it chapters
3
or
per
something?
chapter?
Yeah, something like that. So probably 6, I would guess. But we really have enjoyed our time with My City. Polyomino game that you're placing tiles on your board, and it's really fun because it plays so quick. That's kind of the first thing. It's you can have a bad game, and it's okay, well that took 10-15 minutes and boom, let's
play.
And
if you had a bad game, you usually get better rewards.
That is true. Yeah. And every game there's it's building on itself. Your new things are happening. And I've cooled on a lot of the legacy things, but I find in My City it's just tasteful. It's that's nice. And that's
nothing earth shattering.
Yeah, it's nothing earth shattering. it's nothing, crazy or anything like that. But we've been able to play through that several times. And Ryan, oh, I'm losing you. Oh my gosh.
You might have to cut it here.
Well, we're back, Ryan. Back. In different clothing, Ryan did not recover after that fatal cough.
It wasn't happening.
It was a tragic.
Yeah,
tragic.
Yeah. We weren't going to be able to finish that. So we're what, a couple days later now. We're going to give it another go. I've got my tea. I feel better than I did 2 days ago. Keep fighting on for the channel here. I think you were talking about My City. I think you pretty much wrapped up your thoughts.
I think I was about done. Yeah.
So let's jump on to my number 10 here. Yeah, so my number 10 is obviously new to me, but it is a newer game that came out within, I think, the last year or so. A game that piqued my interest for kind of the category of really kind of more accessible, welcoming game you can play with just about anybody. I thought my wife might like it, which she did. So that's been a big
that is
boon
a big one.
to it, and that is Trekking Through History.
Ooh,
and so this is actually like the third in a series of, I think it was Trekking the National Parks, Trekking the World, and now Trekking Through History. I've played Trekking the World. It's fine. It doesn't really have, it knows its audience. Like it's very much for like a family way. It wasn't really anything that excited me. I think Trekking Through History does some interesting new things though.
I would agree.
That caught my interest. It basically boils down to just drafting cards from this card row, but everybody's got these itineraries of like what types of experiences, they're really just like colored tokens, that you're trying to get in any given era. And depending on which cards you get, which that you go to and what slot they're in, because that'll also determine what bonus tokens you get. It determines what tokens you get. And so you're kind of trying to decide what's best for you. But kind of the kicker on it is that every card has a year, and you ideally want to be taking cards so that your years are going in chronological order because you want to make the longest treks possible to score more points. So very simple, very easy to teach. The presentation's really nice. There's a nice little extra twist with the like time warp deck that gives every round kind of a special thing, and it's got the whole whoever's the furthest back takes the next turn. So you might take a card that you use 5 times, and it might be a little bit before you get something. So simple, but some nice things going on. And I just had good experiences with it. Yeah, for what I want it to be in my collection, it feels very different from other games I've played. And it's just got some nice decisions on any given turn of which of these is the best for me to take, the trade-off of how much time I'm spending, what I'm getting for it, what I'm going to be able to do. The time can be kind of an interesting thing because if you take something that's not very much time, you could potentially get the next turn as well if you don't catch up to somebody. And so you can kind of think, okay, if I was to get the next turn, how are things going to shift? Or maybe there's a card that's like, ooh, that'd be really good with the years. I'd keep them really close together.
Yeah.
So it's nothing earth-shattering, but I just had good experiences with it, and it worked well. 2-player with my wife. We had some good 4-player games with it. So it makes it onto the list at number 10.
Yeah, that was one that I agree. I wasn't sure if it was going to have anything that was going to, I don't know.
It didn't help
my interest.
You in your first couple turns, I think, forgot about the years going.
That
so
was
I just take to get the tokens.
Yeah, I was like, this is not fun at all. Yes, no, that I enjoyed that one. So that is one that honestly has piqued my interest a little bit. Nice, simple, but it's got some interesting stuff with it. So cool beans. That's your number. What are we at, man? With the cut, Ryan. I'm just so lost here.
So we didn't get very far. We're talking about literally the first game.
I'm just so disoriented.
Yes.
Okay, so coming in at my number 9, new to me for the year, is a game that I just recently talked about because I squeezed it in at the end of the year. Got to play a couple times because I borrowed it from you. And this is going to go to Chronicles of Crime. I was very happy that I got this one in this year, especially before having a child. Another child. I'm not sure that
you have to block off a little bit of time.
You do have to block off a little bit of time. So our oldest was down, and we had some time to do this, and we're able to actually get 2 games in. First game went horrible. Didn't solve anything. I blame myself. Just terrible research on my part. But the second game was a blast. We had a ton of fun with it. It's I think it just does such a good job of obviously having I would say the missions are a really nice challenge. I mean, they're not going to be, maybe if you're really smart, they'll be too easy.
Yeah.
But
dummies like us,
if you're dummies
just
like
right.
us, it's just right. Because man, I didn't no way felt this was like easy. And yet it was such a satisfying, like, to be have this person ask this person about that person, or ask them about this. I mean, and you're really able, I mean, it doesn't tell you what to ask. And so you're really trying to make these logical connections of, asking, them about this. And so that, and then when it rewards you is just so satisfying. And so that whole system, we've played the first, 2 missions. We've got to finish kind of the third of the little, I don't know, is it a beginning trilogy missions or whatnot? But is one that obviously it's not like a new game this year. I mean, how it's been out for
a while.
Probably now,
like
but
7 years old.
But one that I've always had on my radar and was finally able to kind of borrow it from you and get it to the table, and was really pleased with it. So I'm excited to even see continue to play through it. I mean, there's endless amount of content that you could do for it, but it was a lot of fun. So number 9, Chronicles of Crime.
Nice. Yeah, I know both of us have played Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective before that, and whereas that one is wide open. I mean, it is like,
oh my gosh,
do anything.
It wrecked me.
This narrows it down a little more to like
I need that.
what you can do.
Yeah,
but it's still, as you unlock more people and more objects, it's still enough choice that it's not just on rails or anything. So I think it's pretty good.
I got
system.
so lost in Sherlock. I remember the one time I played it, I was just spamming every location. I'm like,
I will say, some of the moments I remember from Sherlock where we did figure something out were so satisfying because it was like the game did not give you them. But I digress into my number 9, which was one that I definitely had a hard time rating on this list because I played it once with you, and it's always hard after one play with a game like this to really know where it sits for me.
One play with
and
me.
when it's with Daniel, it's really hard to
play
filter
with
that
Daniel,
out.
It's like, okay,
yeah. So hopefully everybody understands the challenges I'm going through here. But Russian Railroads, specifically, I guess we played the Ultimate Railroads game, but we played the original Russian Railroads map out of it. This is a game I've been wanting to try basically since it came out, I think 10 years ago.
Yeah,
finally got the chance to play it.
The new.
And I think it very much lived up to what I had kind of heard about this game. A very satisfying engine building, that feeling of getting to just like pump up the points that you're churning out round over round as you upgrade these things. I didn't have a great game of it. I definitely didn't realize the importance of there's that action that you take the worker action and then you get that person for the rest of the game.
Oh, are you talking about the extra worker? Or whatever?
Yeah. Whatever that ability that comes out, and you and your wife got all of them. I didn't get any of them. And late in the game, I'm seeing you guys take those actions.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, well, and I realized you guys have the advantage now of you can always fall back on that because you can't get blocked on them.
Those are
and I was like,
huge.
oh, okay, that's pretty helpful. So I got absolutely smoked. Now, granted, this is a game that probably in a lot of games, someone's going to get absolutely smoked because it's engine building up to 300. I mean, what? 300 plus point games.
I would have to go look back at the scores, but
and so it is the type of game that you might be going into round 4 of 6 or whatever and go, well, they're gonna win. There's almost no way with this engine build because they're gonna only score more than they just did, which was more than us. So it's got that aspect to it that it may not always be close. You may know ahead of time, but man, is it fun to engage with that system.
It really
and
is.
I know you've played at least one of the other maps, and it sounds like there's some pretty fun kind of variability in kind of how they mix up that formula. So one I would definitely love to try again, but made enough of an impression to make my number 9.
Yeah, I totally forgot you. So you just played that one once? Was that right?
Just once.
Yeah, when you were visiting here. Yeah, I know. That one is a really nice one. Always helps when my wife loves it as well. So
yes,
fun one to have. Cool. Okay, Ryan, coming to my number 8 is another game that I do not own. Game you own.
It's basically everything on this list. It's either one of us owns it or the other person owns it.
And that actually, is a good question. Are there any that it's neither of us own? No. So this is a game you own, is a sequel, I think is what you would call it, to a game that you had originally and we both enjoyed. And I was skeptical of this sequel, but playing it fully, because the first time we had to like leave early. But I finally got to play it fully a few times, and I believe this is definitively the better version. And this is going to go to Welcome to the Moon.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So I was thinking you were talking about another game. That was a
no, Ryan. Welcome to the Moon, because this was the first year I got to play that one, and I think played it multiple times, at least this summer. I remember, and I was kind of skeptical because I don't know. At first it just seemed like Welcome to was very nice. I just liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Well, first of all, you say something about like a campaign thing, and I'm like, okay, no, like I don't.
Yeah, I still have never touched the campaign,
and I'm not sure I ever would touch that. But even the whole like, oh, there's different modules. I don't know. Even the word modules, I'm not a huge like in board games. I'm just cautious when I hear that, because I just want to play a game in its best form. I typically don't want to have to like, oh, choose this or choose that, you know? So I was a little unsure, but when we played it, I was like, this is really, really nice. I mean, I've played, I think a couple of them now, and they take kind of the Welcome to formula, but each one just adds a really interesting kind of twist on it, or changes the puzzle and makes it, you know, I think just even a lot more interesting. And so playing through it a couple times, you know, I'm actually thinking about it now. I don't think I have any type of like roll and write game or flip and write or
how
anything.
You've avoided that.
I know. Somehow I have stayed beneath the wave of a million options. But it's something I know I want eventually, because I've played it, you know, played several and enjoy it. And so I think maybe I'm sitting back and waiting to like
let Ryan feel out all the
Ryan feel them all out, and we'll see what surfaces. And so far, this has been the one that's kind of surfaced to the top. That's is one that I would definitely consider getting. So really happy to get to try it, and that's what brings it in at my number 8.
Very nice. My number 8 is the game I thought you were going to say. As so you were describing,
were you like mentally preparing for?
I was like, we're gonna have a crossover.
Oh, you were so excited,
just kidding.
And then I just let you down.
No, because a lot of what you described also applies to the game Last Bastion, which is a game that I would call a sequel to Ghost Stories, which I had in my collection for a long, long time.
Yep.
Really enjoyed. We kind of had the realization that we didn't enjoy the White Moon expansion, the kind of the complexity and time it added, and kind of back to just vanilla Ghost Stories. Once I realized that, it was like, well, there's a new kind of version that I wonder what, and I kind of checked it out, and I think it's not like way better than Ghost Stories, but for me, it's like, this is what I want out of it. And so this ranking here, I mean, I already really like Ghost Stories, so it's kind of like it's not really like this really new thing coming in and surprising.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy to have it in my collection. Haven't played it that much, but have had some good games with it, but I feel like I've played it a lot because I played Ghost Stories like 50 times. So the system I am very familiar with.
Ghost Stories
love the presentation.
Yeah.
It was. It's one of the oldest co-ops in our collection, one of the most consistent over the years to hit the table, deliver exciting moments.
When you
just
play
a system
game,
I enjoy.
When you play a game that many times and still want to keep coming back to it, I mean, that just, you know, I mean, that's ultimately like what we're looking for.
Yeah,
in
that's
games,
one of like the biggest things
that it's like we can play it 50 plus times and still know it's going to deliver an exciting game. And so,
Ghost Stories honestly is probably responsible for some of the biggest exciting stand-up moments I've had in co-op games, because it's so hard, and sometimes it all comes down to this final thing.
And some of the worst.
Glad that Last Bastion got made. I'm a little, bummed that I don't think it's like that many people have gotten it. I never hear about anybody talking about Last Bastion.
Yeah.
But I'll talk about Last Bastion. It's a pretty good game.
Yeah.
Enough to make my number 8 of the year.
Nice. Good stuff. My number 7 coming in here, squeaking in at the end of the year.
Oh, I was like, 7 isn't squeaking. Solidly on the list.
Oh, I see what you mean. No, squeaking in at the end of the year. I just got to have only played it once, but there's been a little bit of hype, I think, around it in the board game world right now. got it myself, got to try it, and I think I definitely see why it's gotten some buzz. And this is going to go to World Wonders. World Wonders, a polyomino game where it's polyomino, but you're every round, each player, you have 7 coins that you're using to buy these different shapes and place tiles out, and then the highlight of the game, right, is those monuments that are just beautiful looking, and they're just I don't know what kind of dopamine rush there is when you place one of those on your
I do wonder if like the design of the game, if they like started with that vision
with
of
the
just
monument.
Like we want a game that like looks like this when you're done, and then like reverse engineered it from there.
Well, it's we care so much about mechanics, obviously, and like but it is amazing how presentation, and when done well, can enhance.
It's the number one reason that game got attention when it was announced before. I don't know if it was Gen Con or Essen or something.
Because those easily could have just been shapes just like the other ones with pictures of the monument on them.
And suddenly my first impression would have been, oh, another polyomino game. Like there's so many.
Whereas those are just beautiful. They stand out, and it makes it, when you look at your board at the end of the game, it's so just as satisfying. You're just like, oh, look at that, and when you place one, it just feels so big. In fact, my only maybe complaint that I have is that the actual abilities of the I almost wish the monuments had like kind of some variable, I don't know, some kind of, they kind of just all give you a point or 2 point. They're kind of, in terms of what they actually do, it's functionally the same. But man, they look so cool out there.
Yeah.
But the whole system, I thought, just works so well. It's I love when there's placement restrictions and it's tight, and you're having to think about a lot of stuff here, because we played even with the optional like objectives, so you got some objectives you're thinking about. The whole monument thing's interesting, of how the cost of it is the rest of your gold, and so you really want to try to wait until you have only like 1 gold left to get the monument, but if you wait, someone else might take it. And then you always have to, when you're placing buildings, they have to go next to the same color buildings or next to a road. And so you're trying to position your roads. So, there's just all these things you're trying to kind of like bring together. And it's, it was really enjoyable. We played it 2 players. I know one of the things I've been hearing is that it can maybe get a little longer at more players, but obviously it's going to be longer, but potentially excessively longer. I don't know. We'll have to see about that.
Yeah.
But really enjoyable one. Excited I got it in. That one truly is a new to me game. So there you go.
It's good to have a few really new ones to give us some credibility.
I got to try chess this year. It's the latest rage. I don't know if you guys have heard about it.
Yes. We got a few new ones on these lists.
Yeah.
Okay. What was that, number 7?
That was my number 7.
My number 7 is not new, but it is old, but it's a game that has gotten a huge resurgence through a really quality Kickstarter reprint. And it's actually kind of funny seeing it get received so well, and seeing all these people that are like, newer to the hobby being like, man, they made good games even back in 1999, which I think is when this game came out.
It's so funny.
This is Raw. It's an classic auction, I would say auction push your luck set collection game from Reiner Knizia. One that I always wanted to try, but it never was quite to the top of my list, and it was kind of in between editions. Finally, a really nice new edition from 25th Century Games. And it's amazing to play a game almost 25 years after it was released and have your first impression be, wow, this is so different from anything I've played.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just because I haven't played a lot of auction games, but it is such just a fascinating puzzle of you have these sun tiles that are all open information. So the bidding power of everybody, and it's very exact. It's not just oh, Daniel's sitting over there with 20 money and I have 14 money. How much are we going to bid each other? It's these very discrete tiles that you're going to have to bid with. And it just leads to so many interesting decisions of how do I bid to try to force you to like, beat me for less than what you want or let me get something. So there's that whole dynamic. But then what we're bidding on is this set of tiles that every time a new tile is drawn, it completely changes how everybody is evaluating that set. I mean, it could even be a disaster that suddenly it's like more negative than it was. But you'll have someone that like has tons of the Nile tiles. I'm going to mix up which ways these go. I think it's the Nile, or the Nile tiles only score if you have at least one flood tile, I think. And so if I have a bunch of Nile tiles, a flood tile coming out is really big for me. And for someone else, it might be almost nothing, like 1 point. So I just loved that dynamic, the push your luck of how long is the round going to go with the raw tiles. So really good experiences with this so far. Look forward to playing it more.
Yeah.
My number 7.
Yeah, that's one that I need to play again. I know the game that I had of it was oh man, here we go, Ryan. Round 2.
I think we're okay.
Oh Lord, we'll
just talk for a while.
Okay. I'll silence Ryan in editing. Don't worry, guys. Yeah, that's one that I need to play again because I think the one game I had of it was a very weird game of it. I don't know. I just remember it was very odd how things came out.
Yeah, we got more raw tiles than normal.
Yeah. But what you were saying earlier got me thinking. I feel like now all these old games that are great, the publishers or the designer and publisher just need to come out and do like a reprinting Kickstarter.
It's what's happening. Like,
because it's so, like so many are. It's like out. Oh, nobody will play it, but if we throw it on Kickstarter, then people will. And it's like
the Kickstarter hype machine, man. Yeah. It gets people to spend more money than they'd ever spend if it was just coming to retail.
Right. Yeah. Maybe all these people then will see how much it costs. People will see how much it costs on Kickstarter and then just go buy the really cheap, old version.
Yeah.
There you go. I saw Raw at the thrift store over Christmas.
True, it was like decimated.
It looked like someone's dog ate through part of it, but hey, might have been missing some pieces, but could have played Raw for
there you go
20 cents. Here we go.
Well, Daniel, what's your number 6 here?
Yeah, number 6. I don't know if you might be surprised. Well, I don't know. This is a game I know I'm gonna love, but you might be surprised given off the one play I have of it that it's on this list. But number 6 is gonna go to Too Many Bones. So this was
I wondered if it would make your list based on the one weird play we had.
Yeah, we had a very weird play. We weren't super we kind of chose the wrong. Yeah, we weren't super prepared, so we're in the rules a lot, and we chose the shortest boss because we were like, okay, we just want to play the shortest game, but it ended up being kind of not the best first one to do and we didn't look at him ahead of time, so we got to all sort of a mess. But I just sitting there, I was like, this is my type of game. Holy cow. I mean, the characters, it's just so exciting. I mean, I know they're insanely complex when you have this like double-sided, size 8 font that you're like reading all your abilities. It's a little overwhelming, but oh my gosh, it feels so cool. The characters and how different they are. And I find that whole just fighting on the map system is just really interesting, even just visually with the chips and all that. But and the abilities. And I know I have in no way even probably experienced Too Many Bones fully, but even just in that first game, we love games of almost gave me a little bit of the Mage Knight feel of like progression, and you're going through and it's building up to kind of this final thing. But I really love how you can kind of class, you can choose totally different routes that you want to go with characters. We obviously chose very much the wrong ones given
I think you just didn't roll well enough.
Oh my gosh, I rolled so bad. It was rough. But anyways, I throw it on this list because it's like, if I know if I play this more, this could be one of my favorite board games. Yeah. And so it will come in at number 6 on my New to Me. Well, we are back once again. I think we're trying to set a record, Ryan, for how many different days can be recorded.
2 days later. 2 days This is going to be the only video we post this year.
Oh man, yeah, it's we're getting a little tight on the editing window now, but we will push through.
I'm fighting through. I've got tea loaded with honey. I threw a cough drop in there.
Ryan is all in. Look at the dedication.
Yes, I do this for you, the viewers.
Yeah, you better.
I feel pretty good, but I felt pretty good last time.
For Ryan putting that in for you.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be like, "Why didn't you just edit out all the coughing and like?"
Yeah. Well, the plan now is if it happens again, you've given me the script, and I'll just read what you're.
Yeah, AI
or we'll have AI read it. Yeah. There you go. Okay, well,
I think we're to my number 6.
Yes, I believe so. I don't know. Yeah, just go for it. This is a dumpster fire right now. Let's just keep this moving.
So my number 6 is a game I played a lot this year, and that's largely because it is a campaign game, which that oftentimes will get usually a game helps. To the table consistently. This is Lord of the Rings: Journeys in Middle Earth, and this is one. Yes. You know, we've both cooled a lot on campaign games, so it's just really hard to decide to do a campaign game these days with all the other games we want to be playing. But this was one that I kind of liked how it used the app-assisted thing that kind of was with Mansions of Madness or some of these other games that Fantasy Flight has done that kind of offloads a lot of this upkeep and lets them do some cool things. Mm-hmm. It's in an IP I really like with the Lord of the Rings. I had a group in mind that I was like, they both love Lord of the Rings, and they're here. We'd be able to get together regularly. Yeah. And so it all kind of aligned to be like, you know what? I think actually this makes sense right now. And we've had a great time with it. This is the one that we made it to the penultimate scenario. We have only the finale left, but one of our group members is living in the UK for a year.
Our viewers are waiting in anticipation to hear. How does this campaign end?
How does it end? Yeah. But yeah, it's just a fun experience. It's got a lot of focus on kind of like story and exploration, but it's got kind of this fun deck mechanism of, you know, on any given turn, you're scouting 2 cards and deciding, do you want to equip one? You can equip one of them so that you can use it, but you can put the other one on the bottom or the top. But then that deck is also how you resolve skill checks. So you can manipulate, like, I'm going to put this card's good, but I'm going to put it back because it's a success so that I know I'll have a success on my next skill check. So there's a little opportunity for you to just feel like you're being kind of clever. I like the upgrading between missions.
Yeah.
Because you can pick what classes you're playing and you get experience in those specific classes and then can buy upgrades. So you can kind of multi-class. So every time you play it, you could go for very different builds as far as what cards you get in your deck. So yeah, it's been a good time. You know, I don't think it's one that I see myself like playing campaign after like I could see it being one that like sits on the shelf for a while and it's like, it's not really active. But keeping it for the opportunity where it's like, you know what, this would be a good opportunity to play this again. You know, someday with kids, it could be a really fun one to play. So yeah, it comes in at my number 6.
Yeah, it's one of those games that I think about. Can you imagine if when we were first getting into board gaming and we have like no games, if we got a game like that, we would have played so many campaigns.
We would have probably exhausted the content they had for it.
But it's like
the same thing with like, you know, if we had Gloomhaven or something back then.
Oh my gosh.
We probably would have played multiple campaigns, you know, and had played each played all the characters.
Yeah, but now too many games to commit all to multiple campaigns. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, Ryan, coming in at my number 5. Game that has already been mentioned on this list, so it was new to both of us. And it was your copy, and I tried it, and then I bought it. So this is going to go to Last Bastion. You already mentioned this one.
I forgot that you bought it.
Yes, I know. This was a sneaky buy, and it's actually kind of a little funny backstory of why. I purchased it, but it was leading up. It was a crazy good deal of, you know, Facebook Marketplace, but leading up to Christmas. But that's always a risk because hypothetically someone could have gotten me it for Christmas, but I was like, oh, that's really unlikely. So I was like, I just won't tell anyone, and if someone gets it, I'll be like, yay, Last Bastion. I'll just sell the other one.
So that's why you kept it a little.
That's why I kept on the DL, and then after Christmas, I revealed.
Nice.
Yeah, I actually haven't played my copy yet, which is funny. I need to get a group together, but I had always, as we mentioned, we love ghost stories. It was one that I always knew I wanted, either ghost stories or a game that gives that kind of, I almost think like Eldritch Horror kind of experience in terms of just like, cooperative fighting stuff.
Chuck and
dice, but I just love the time frame of obviously originally ghost stories. It just always fits such a nice spot. A lot of times it was kind of the end of the night, you kind of after a good game to kind of end on, because it always led to exciting moments and stuff like that. But playing Last Bastion, it just cleaned up so much stuff. And obviously being able to, because the whole thing with the boards, right, is that you can now use,
the ability, that you can mix and match. Whereas before,
right.
Like if you use the front side, you couldn't have the back ability in the same game. Right. So there's just a lot more, and they have more abilities. So
totally.
I love that there's just, when you've played Ghost Stories 50 times with the same, combinations, it really like makes a difference.
Yeah, the production value I think is great. I think it looks beautiful on the table and all of that. The whole, now, does it have one extra tile, or because now the tiles aren't necessarily the same every game.
I'm forgetting now. I want to say it's this. I want to say it's the same.
Or no, they just changed a couple.
Yeah, there's a few of them that are a little different. That's
right. Sorry, I'm getting it mixed up.
And there were definitely ones in Ghost Stories that we almost never used the ability on it. Right. Whereas now they all feel pretty usable. Like even the graveyard one, that's usually for resurrecting somebody that dies, has like another thing it can do. So it's like, okay. So that's really nice to feel like the whole, because we would lean pretty hard in Ghost Stories into like the same 4 or something that were like our core ones.
Yeah, so I thought that was all really nice changes. The interesting one was now you can move diagonal, which feels like a game-breaking change, and yet it feels so great. I was impressed at just that didn't like totally blow the game up, but that it feels very just good and balanced and all of that. So we've already harped on it, on how much we like it already, but yeah, coming in my number 5, Last Bastion.
Nice. Yeah, neither of us remember what we talked about when I talked about Last Bastion.
I know. See, that's the problem, Ryan. It was so
days
long
ago. We may have. Sorry if we just repeated ourselves.
This new channel strategy of segmenting our videos over multiple
days. Rethink
is
that New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
My number 5 is one that I don't think was new to you this year, but it's your copy of it that I've played. And I only played it once. But had a really good time, and I think it also is just like I see the potential with the system and like how it can be expanded. And this is Cthulhu: Death May Die. And the core thing in this game is that you pick an elder one, ancient one. I forget what they call it, something different in like every Cthulhu
keep it consistent. It's the same. Yeah. It's the same game.
But then you pick a scenario, which kind of determines the map. It determines some special rules and what you're kind of doing.
Yeah.
And so like there's just and it's like both of those are very meaningful for the experience. And so I just love that, because every time you play, you can mix and match. Even with the amount of content you have, you're at the point where it would be a while before you'd be forced to have to play a combination you've played before. I think you have 18. You have three or 4 ancient ones and 6 scenarios.
I want to say I think it's 4 now, because I just got one. I think I have
it's like you'd have to play 24 times.
Yeah.
If you happen to get the season 2 one, I think that had 6 scenarios.
Yeah.
And then it's just like you could always be playing a combination you've never played before, which I find very appealing.
Yeah.
But it was just it took things we like about a game like Eldritch Horror, about some of these, makes it a little bit more dungeon crawly, makes you feel like you're in the room moving around doing these things. It's not like
feels a little more global. In the thematic, kind of honestly what we liked about Arkham Horror, I think a little bit.
Yeah, I think it brings back a little bit of that feeling. It's got the huge minis where, Arkham, you've got these little cardboard tokens, and it's like, oh my gosh, this huge dark young, and it's just the same cardboard token. Here it's like, oh my gosh, that dark young, looks absolutely terrifying. And so that's just a cool table presence. We've talked about how we love the characters and this mechanism of the more you go insane, the more you unlock your abilities.
So good.
And so you almost like want to go more insane, but you don't want to go completely insane. So it just makes it, even when you're getting hurt, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's got this great escalation to towards the end of the game. You're rolling more and more dice. I know in our game, like, I think we were playing Cthulhu, he came out onto the map and it was like, we got to go and just like, it's just it kind of drops you right into the third act of a story. It's like, totally. We are at the climax.
There's no slow buildup. You're just, I mean, there obviously is a little bit, but even at the starting point, it's like, boom, you're going. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and it's not that long compared to, like, for how big it is and everything. So I really enjoyed my play of this one. It's one that I think I'd like to get at some point. It's always hard to it's not a cheap game. And I know once I get into it, I'm going to be interested in expansion stuff for it too.
It's literally the expansion system is like our favorite type, where not only is it adding new stuff, but it's improving every other, since you have the whole combination thing, all your content's being improved by every expansion you get. So we love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I would say historically, we're the type of people that were like, we'd rather the games be cheap, keep them cheaper and not do like these ridiculous productions. Cause it's like, oh, we don't want to pay so much for this thing that's not like to the gameplay. I think over time we've come around on that a little bit of just realizing what a really strong presentation can do for the fun factor and the experience. Like, it is a real tangible thing. And so while it's like a little ridiculous, some of those minis and stuff, it's
totally Cthulhu. It's like, did he really need to be 20 times the size of your investigator? But there's also an element that, man, it's trying to build this scale of like, and it just fits thematically. And I know not every game, there's games where it does feel excessive, but here I think they really nailed it with kind of the production where they chose to go big.
There's intangibles of just like the excitement of getting it to the table. Like, for someone who's coming in and hasn't played it, it just looks cool.
It does.
So one that I'll have to see if it makes it into my collection, at some point. But it is probably one of the highest on my list of games I've played that I don't have, as far as ones that intrigue me. So that is Cthulhu, Death May Die.
There you go. Coming in now at my number 4. I think a little bit of a backstory. Ryan and I purchase games with very different approaches. Ryan very much, educated, doing tons of research, and like has got these are the ones I'm gonna get. Me, I much more take the approach of there's a ton of good games out there, and let's just pick up ones that are good deals.
Daniel finds a good deal, and then he asks Ryan,
is this
game good?
Is this game good? This game? I'll research it a little bit and then check it out. So number 4 is an example of that. Was just on sale at I think I was at a miniature market in St. Louis, and I'm sending Ryan pictures of like the clearance section.
I tell you, I'm at work and I just get walls of games in tiny photos. Are any of these getting good?
I appreciate Ryan and how he's helping me along. But this was one that you highly recommended. I already been mentioned on the list and picked it up, and this goes to Ultimate Railroads. I knew nothing about it beforehand. And it was funny. I knew Russian railroads. But I didn't know.
You probably didn't know a lot about it.
I didn't know a lot about it, but I had heard of that. But I didn't know there was this kind of sequel where they essentially took all the expansions, kind of put it all into one box, improve some stuff. But yeah, so kind of, whereas Ryan goes into a game kind of really knowing what it's going to provide, sometimes I'm like, well, Ryan said it's good. Like, okay, I trust him.
I'm glad I didn't fail you.
Ryan delivered, because both my wife and I we originally playing it 2-player, really loved this game. I mean, we started out with just the core gameplay. I think
we love, worker placement games are really fun. It feels tight, or tough decisions on the worker placement side of things. I think it's really interesting how you've obviously got the 3 kind of railroads that you can build along, but each one is kind of a very different strategy and whatnot. So you've already talked about that. All of that. It's a great system, a lot of fun. We even got to try the German railroads because in this Ultimate Railroads, they have German railroads. I think there's a US one.
I think there's a new Asian one that is brand new in that edition.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't think it had existed before.
Oh, in Ultimate Railroads. Okay. Yeah. So we played the German ones, and fantastic. I mean, so it takes the you get obviously a new board, but now of the 3 railroads, there's missing rectangles in the railroad, and then out in the display there's all of these options for what you can acquire to complete. So you're almost customizing your 3 railroads, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is right in my favorite type of thing. It's take the core beautiful system, and now there's variability in terms of the approach you can take with each thing. And so that was just such a fun game to play. I haven't played the other ones yet, but just that entire system works so well. Really delivers on a lot of what kind of both my wife and I enjoyed. Got to play it with you really enjoyed it. So that's what brings it in now at my number 4. It was just a fantastic time.
Very nice. Definitely one I would like to play again.
I want to play it again. It's been a little while here. Yeah.
It's always hard. We don't see each other that many times a year, so it's which games do we play when we're together?
Yeah.
But I had a good time with that one.
It's true.
Number 4. My number 4. This is one that is another example of actually a new game, new 2023 release or maybe the end of 2022. But, and this is one only played it once, your copy of it. And we both came away feeling it was a very strong experience that lived up to what we want. It has a lot of what we know we like in a lot of other games. This is Earth. And Earth falls into this category of games. It's giant deck of unique cards. There's really a lot of randomness in when you're doing draws from this giant deck and what you get. And then engine building cards combo together and you're trying to find ones. But Earth kind of does some things that other games that we've played in that genre haven't done. One is the simultaneous play, which is a huge one, honestly. Because in the 2-hour game we played, it was less than 2 hours. I think.
It was an hour and a half. Yeah.
And it was just this feeling of having played a 2.5-hour game in an hour and a half.
I felt like I had played Terraforming Mars in an hour and a half. That was the feel.
Yeah, and that's good. To be fair, we love Terraforming Mars, and in no way did we. I know some people have said Earth replace the Terraforming Mars. Something. No. That's not the case for us. They're different categories for us. But yeah, loved that simultaneous play. Loved the spatial element of the grid. And sometimes that matters with what's next to each other. I had something that could make growths on any of the 8 cards around it. Yeah. It also determines the execution order for your abilities, which also can really matter. I remember I strategized that early on one of the actions would create growths for me, and then later I could spend those growths to do something. So even if I have no growths, if that hits, it's always going to give me enough that I could spend them.
Yeah.
So I really liked that. The beginning of the game, you get a choice with these. I think it's which island you do and which climate and
island climate.
And there's a lot of them. There's a ton to use, so it's always going to be a little bit different. So yeah, really, really enjoyed this one. It's another one. I guess I said this about Cthulhu: Death and the Dive, but it's another one that I don't own but have played. That's up there of man, this feels like one. That I could be interested in. I know we talked about before. Honestly, the game it feels most in competition with is probably Wingspan. Yep. Just from kind of style of game and length and weight. But we'll see, because we've enjoyed Wingspan too. So I'll have to see do I see myself owning both? Does one of them kind of win out? Well, but really fun first play of Earth.
Yeah, well, I'll just continue the talking, Ryan, because my number 3 is also going to go to Earth.
Nice.
Yeah, it is really interesting when because we were talking about. I would say it's more similar to Wingspan than Terraforming Mars in terms of just. But what's so interesting is, and both of us love Wingspan, is I just feel at the end of the game, I feel like I've done so much more than I did in a game of Wingspan, and that's just inherent with the you're not only are you just doing a secondary action, you're executing your whole thing every turn.
It's an engine building game where you get to use the cards you play over and over
again.
Which is it just feels good.
Yeah. So it's yeah, man, that game really delivered. It was, we're playing it the first time, and I'm just like, this is. It felt really fresh. Obviously, it's like it borrows mechanics that a lot of games have used and stuff like that. Like the whole, I choose a primary action, everyone does the second. Like that's not a new thing. But I don't know, the way just like that came together with like all the cards, which isn't a new thing, but combined with that whole 4x4 grid, I just felt like, man, that works so well. That's so interesting. There was no fluff in the game. It was so tight, and it just felt like all the mechanics just came together in such a great way. There's it's infinite replayability already in just the core game with how many cards there are. It's a game you could so easily expand and add more.
I'll be shocked if they don't.
If they
I think
don't,
they may have already
are not
announced.
good business people, because my gosh, that game just is asking for it. So yeah.
If there's one thing that I could see people kind of not liking about it is like the actual abilities and things you're doing. It is pretty dry. It's like you're either creating growth or the little I forget what the little cubes are called.
Sprouts.
Yep. Like nothing you're doing is that flashy or exciting, and it's kind of crunchy. It's like, I created some to spend some to do some to get some. Like, it's just kind of
that.
But like if you like that and that doesn't bother you, like a lot of. But I could see that being some people kind of, and even I remember at the beginning of the game when you look at that initial hand and you haven't played before, it was like,
overwhelming.
Man,
yeah,
but you pretty quickly kind of get familiar with the different icons, and it's like, okay, I kind of see what's going on here.
Yeah, well, and it was interesting. I played with one of our cousins, and he was talking about how one of he was I think he liked it, but maybe didn't love it as much as we did. But I think one of the potential things about it is there's so many ways to score points. I'm a very tactical, so I love just like, okay, I'm going to convert this to do this to get and sometimes it's hard to know, am I doing the best thing? I don't know. Yeah. I'm kind of just converting a bunch of stuff into stuff and making a bunch of things happen.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of times you kind of just have to make a gut decision of like, I think this action will be better for me this turn. Because if you really try to like,
it's a lot.
Definitively answer, is this action better than this action? That requires you to mentally run your whole thing and be like, okay, if I did this,
I just stop
I'd get
myself
3 sprouts, I'd get
hard.
this many. And if I do this, so I think, it definitely lends itself to people that are okay kind of going with more of a gut tactical decision.
I'm all gut, no brain. That's my,
there you go. Put it on a shirt.
Board game, all gut. Okay, Ryan, there's my number 3. What's yours?
Number 3. Well, how nice that the number 3 is the game for you, is the game I gave you for Christmas, and my number 3 is the game you gave me for Christmas. Oh, that's so sweet. So you mentioned this one already. I had the luxury of, besides our one game that was kind of a
trashy,
lackluster introductory game, I did have a solo play two-handed that really was a lot of fun and kind of like, I think, elevated this for me. This is Too Many Bones. And this is like a lot in a game. Like when I was trying to learn this game and read the rule book, and each character has like this giant sheet, like this is not an easy game to learn.
No.
And those first few plays, you're going to be in the rule book a lot. but it reminds me a little bit of Mage Knight in just like how much it throws in with different, enemy abilities, all these different things that when it comes to the point of combat, you have this interesting puzzle. It's the same way, like Mage Knight is always that way of how do I solve this battle? It feels that way here. The huge distinction is Too Many Bones is so dice driven. And so, depending on people's taste, that's either terrible or exciting.
Yeah.
We come from where we love dice, but we also love games that, don't have dice. So I feel like it's a really nice complement in my collection to Mage Knight because it does give a little bit more of this exciting and the tactical nature that comes out of I've rolled dice. How am I going to use them? How am I going to react to this roll that I got that I maybe didn't plan for? So it's one I'm really looking forward to playing more. I'll probably once in a blue moon play it solo. It's long right now, and it's hard for me to get long solo games to the table. But really would like to play it with 2 or 3 players. Fortunately, I do have a friend that has already played it with a different group, so like
there you go.
We don't have to like teach it, completely from scratch. But yeah, really enjoying it. A little fearful for my wallet because one, Chip Theory games are just expensive because the component quality is so nice, and it is really nice. It's fun to play with these really nice chips and all the custom dice.
Yeah.
But it does mean they have all this expansion content, and none of it is cheap because of how nice it is. So we'll see how I decide and if I decide to expand it over time. But as of right now, I'm pretty high on Too Many Bones as a strong new addition to the collection and looking forward to playing it more.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's the heaviest solo game you have?
Well, I haven't actually played Mage Knight solo. I actually want to.
I mean, you do. Yeah, you totally could.
Yeah, and like that's Mage Knight is like
people love
in the
solo.
Board game community. That's like the biggest fans of Mage Knight are the solo players. So it's one I should, now that I've gotten a little bit more into solo game, I should try at some point, especially because I haven't played Mage Knight in really quite a long time.
I want to play Mage Knight.
It's a tragedy. I know, it's such a good game. So yeah, those are kind of become my 2 long, solo games in my collection. And then I've got some of my LCGs like Lord of the Rings and Arkham Horror kind of like more mid. And then, something like Final Girl just keeps hitting the table because it's fast and it's got the RAM.
Right. So. Cool. Okay, so we are now to, that was your number 3, right? So we're coming in now to my number 2 game. Ryan, sometimes when there's a lot of hype in the board game world about a game, you almost are a little, I don't know, sometimes there's some skepticism of like, okay, is it really deserving of all of the hype it's getting? This game has been sold out. It's been, I think almost some of the hype is been because it's been so hard to get. And then when people see a game's hard to get, they assume, oh, this must be a really good game. Finally got our hands on Heat Pedal to the Metal, and it deserves the hype. I like, to be honest, playing it. I wish I had in front of me how many times I've played it this year so far. I want to say probably 5 or 6 times. Gotten it to the table, and it just it gives everything I would want in a racing game. Honestly, it has obviously it's just the presentation of it to start off is just, it looks really cool on the table. You've just got this big, nice looking board. It gives that awesome feel. And so that right off the bat is great. And then you get into kind of the mechanics. And I think I've always said that racing games are really tough to make because you either run into the problem of not making the player feel like they're racing fast. You're just like crawling along. Or you run into the problem where it's just like so luck driven. I mean, the game that comes to mind, is like a Formula D, which is a good game. We had it back in the day, but where it's really just, you're chucking dice and you kind of are hoping for the best. So a really strategic racing game that allows for big moves and comebacks, but also, gives that fast, exciting racing feel. And I just think Heat Pedal to the Metal brings that all together right here. We've played it several times together, and it's amazing to me how within the card play system is just so good. The whole managing heat, that is just such a fun mechanic, because there's times where you're not going to win if you take heat, because everyone, totally. It's the whole, you're pushing it everyone's pushing their cars to the limit, because ideally, you would have no heat, or you would use all your heat by the time you cross the finish line, because you're maximizing your car. But there's when is the best time to use it, and the game, the whole managing, kind of going around curves, that's really the core of kind of winning the game, is how well can you play the curves. Whenever going around a curve, you kind of have to stay under a certain speed, and if you go over past that speed, you're going to start taking heat. But sometimes you need to, because if a player ahead of you is past the curve already, they're a full turn ahead of you. But if you can push something to, get past,
because if you can get close to them, you can slipstream.
And then
like sometimes, sometimes it's like, if I push this, I not only can get around the curve they've gotten around, but I can land right behind them and actually like bump ahead. With that bump ahead, sometimes can be so critical, because if the next turn is coming up quickly, 2 spaces could be the difference of, I could actually hit the next turn and they are going to struggle to hit the next turn, because, they would have to take so much heat to go around.
Yeah, I think the whole slipstreaming thing, I would guess most racing games have some sort of slipstreaming mechanic. But in Heat Pedal to the Metal, it is so cool, because it's not just, okay, you go you are going a couple extra spaces, but because of the way curves work, slipstreaming is huge.
Yeah. Well, slipstreaming doesn't add to your speed going around a curve.
Exactly, because it doesn't add to your speed. And so that was a wonderful decision. And the last thing I'll say about it is I think it's super fun, even just the tension of when you're at a disadvantage when you're in first place, because you're going to be going first every round, so you can't slipstream off anyone. But then there's the little game you're playing with the people behind you of like, okay, they think I'm going to go here, so they're going to go to try to get right behind me to slipstream. But what if maybe I either lay up short or I push myself to go a little bit further so they can't slipstream? There's a lot of those kind of games happening with the people around you, because slipstreaming is so huge. I think that's a ton of fun. There's variable tracks. There's the whole garage module. You can customize cars. We haven't even done the tournament stuff yet. There's so much in here, and it is a blast to play. The computer legends module works fantastic. I'd play this 2-player with my wife. We have, and it's been great. Although I will say, when we got to play a full, we had 6? Yeah. Oh, that was great. That was just cool. And just having more people around the table doing it was awesome. So yeah, fantastic one, deserving of the hype. My number 2, Heat Pedal to the Metal.
Wow, good stuff.
Thanks, Ryan. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you covered it. That was my number 2 is one that I've talked about how I've been doing a little bit more solo gaming. I'm in a season right now where solo games do get to the table a little bit more, and so I'm kind of leaning into that. It's like, if ever there's a time to maybe get some new ones to be rotating between, now's kind of the season in life for me to do it. And so that motivated my purchase of Bullet Heart.
Wow.
And so Bullet Heart, number 2. I've played it a lot. I've only played it once multiplayer, which you were in that game.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes. Yeah. And then I played it many, many times solo. Such a unique game. I mean, it really, drawing from the bag, push your luck, and then the puzzling of clearing things with patterns, and pairing that with what Level 99 loves to do, which is just like crazy variety with abilities and that kind of stuff. The solo play is arguably, or solo, or I guess cooperative, because you could do cooperative as well. I think is even better, because you have these variable bosses that you face that have their own ability and have attacks that they're doing. So besides your person working very differently, because they are like very different, each one, you might be facing a boss that, like, there was one of them I was playing recently that every one of the normal way they work is their attack patterns are like, you need to have this pattern present on your board at the end of your turn. Otherwise, they're going to hit you with the attack. So it's this added thing of, besides clearing, I got to kind of make a decision. Do I think I'm going to leave bullets in? Can I get it in a way that prevents it? Yeah. Or do I just say, I'm getting hit by this, I'm going to prepare to get hit by this?
That's sweet.
And minimize the damage. But then they oftentimes have other abilities. So like I was playing this one that like each of those attacks shows 2 of the 5 colors on it. And during that round, if you clear those 2 colors, they hit you instead. So like it's this puzzle of like, okay, I cannot clear reds and blues this turn. I need to just focus on other things. And like that just completely changes the feel of it. And I just love across all of the different like anime girls in the game. It's kind of a funny, strange theme, this bullet hell anime thing.
It didn't hook, the theme didn't hook me on the first look. Yeah.
But I love that it's kind of leaning into being wild. And it leads to some wild abilities and stuff. But really is a different game. And I mean, I play it solo in like 15 minutes, but feel like I've done like, and so it's, I mean, I'll sometimes sit down and play it a couple times in a row and mix up things, or it's fun to retry the same one and be like, okay, how am I going to beat this boss? Because it really is like kind of a puzzle of how am I going to do differently? I really do want to try it co-op, because like playing it 2-player, you're playing against the boss. And I think they add some things that there's some ways that you can like help each other. I think that could be a lot of fun, especially if both people are familiar with the game. But it rose up my list really because one, it's gotten to the table a lot and I've had a really good time with it, but it also just like fills something different from what I had. It's fast. Like different. If everybody knew how to play this multiplayer, especially we didn't play with a timer when we were playing, especially if you played with a timer, although you might, stress people out.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're talking a 20-minute or less game, which this is way more game than you normally would be getting out of that length. So yes, very much enjoying this one. Almost certainly going to pick up Bulletstar at some point, which is another standalone. So you basically double your content in terms of heroines and bosses and stuff, as well as I know they've released additional other expansions. It's going to be hard to resist them because it's just more combinations and stuff you can play with. And if there's one thing you've learned from this video, if Daniel and I hear the word combinations, we're just that's what we are looking for. So Bullet Heart makes it in at my number 2.
Yeah, our board game approach is like, so we keep accumulating games, we get rid of the ones we don't play, and we find the ones we love, and then we just expand the heck out of them.
And just drill them with plays. Yeah.
Especially when it's just more and more variability and fun like that. Yeah, that one, obviously I played it once and really actually enjoyed it. My wife loved that game. She was like, that was so much fun. I thought
she might, because she likes kind of the puzzly thing.
Yeah, if
she likes it, I wouldn't sleep on considering that one for your collection.
I will not sleep.
Because two-player co-op, like if you decided you preferred the co-op to the... Although your wife's not much of a co-op person. Okay, games. So you'll just go head to head. You just go head to head and get beat down by her.
It's more of an us problem, but yeah.
So, I don't know what it says about you, but
yeah, she just likes beating me.
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan.
Number 1. I haven't really thought about what yours is, but
if you thought enough.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
But you're not going to. Just be surprised.
Yeah.
It's a game you've actually already mentioned on your list. I'll give you a clue there. And is one that came in as a replacement. They're not the same game, but in my mind, it was kind of replacing a little bit of... In fact, they're not similar at all. But replacing Mansions of Madness. Sold that game, but we love the Cthulhu theme. We've just had so many good experiences with that.
It's a great theme for a cooperative game.
It is. It's just fun, kind of scary. I don't know. It's all that good stuff. So the latest popular one and I was like, okay, it delivers that, but it delivers actually in a shorter time. Great variability, and this goes to Cthulhu Death May Die.
So it was this year. I for some reason I thought maybe it squeezed in last year.
Nope.
Yeah, I remember distinctly telling you, because I don't think you knew much about this game, which I guess that's true of a lot of games.
Yeah.
But I remember straight telling you, Daniel, you would love this game. Like, there's times where I go, you guys would probably like this or whatever.
Yeah.
This one was like, this is a Daniel game.
Yeah.
Like through and through.
Well, and it's so funny, the contrast of, I sold Mansions of Madness to get this game. And it's funny, that contrast, because my big issue with Mansions of Madness was like, I had a good time with it and whatnot. But when I realized how horrible the replayability was, because I'm like,
which that's maybe a little harsh, because there's a lot of scenarios for it and stuff.
I apologize to all you Mansions of Madness people out there.
If you replay the same one,
I redact that statement. When you don't have a lot of content for the game, because honestly, the answer is just keep getting more content and you keep playing more stuff.
Well, and it's hard when you're playing with a new group and it's like, well, we have ones we haven't played, but they're longer or like maybe not the best introductory.
Right. And so I just didn't like the realization that some of the fun of the first play is permanently gone for me because I don't have the surprise. And that's just inherent. I mean, that like, I shouldn't have been surprised by that, but I just realized that's a bigger deal than I originally knew. And it was a little longer than I was thinking, to the point where I'm like, man, I could just kind of be playing Eldritch Horror at this point. If I'm going like maybe go 30 minutes longer, and I've got a game that I love a lot more. So I was like, can I get something that is kind of like it, but in a very different time slot? And Cthulhu Death May Die nailed this. I mean, the games play quick. I mean, we were talking about that. It just throws you right in, and you're running, and the scenario, I've played several scenarios now, and each one feels pretty different and feels really different, obviously, when you add a variable monster in as well. I mean, one thing you didn't mention was that the scenario, so every scenario has if you don't have a monster on your space on your turn, you can investigate the space, kind of search the room and try to find something. So you draw something from a deck and you kind of read the center, and then you usually have like 2 options or kind of something like that. Well, every single scenario has its own custom deck, and is like thematic to that scenario. Yeah. And so when you're exploring, it's that. But then every monster has, obviously the boss monster, but also has some, I think they're just another like kind of monster type that's unique to them and has ability. And yeah, just the way those come together, it just makes it so fresh and fun. So going from Mansions of Madness to now this game, where I'm like, oh my gosh, the variability is incredible. This is like, I already in the core box, I have so much I can play, and I could play the same combination.
Yeah, I was going to say it's much better for replaying the same
because
combo.
it's not relying on the story for
surprising
like there's
you.
not I mean, there maybe is a tiny bit of like, oh, that's interesting, but like for the most part, each scenario has its own kind of puzzle rules of what you're trying to that it kind of just lays out in front of you, and then obviously once you get through it, you fight the final boss. There's not a lot of like, whoa, big twist or something like. So, don't go into this game thinking scenarios are gonna offer that, but I'm not really looking for that. And so you just combine the puzzle, the scenario with the unique mechanics of the overlaying boss, bring them together. And man, Ryan, you talk about games that it's like, I'm just going to want to keep expanding it. I mean, season 2 box right now for me is a must buy. Although honestly, a must buy, but I kind of just want to hold.
Not an urgent.
I'm not urgent because there's so much in the core box. You don't need more right away.
Well, and especially because you've gotten 2 additional.
Yes,
Elder ones, right?
I know. I'm looking back right here. Yeah, I got. Yeah, someone just got me the black goat.
Yeah, that was part of our birthday package. We sent
that's
you,
right.
Us siblings.
I know. I haven't gotten to play it since. Gosh, that and Last Bastion. I gotta get those to the table.
Yeah.
So just incredible. I mean, it nailed it out of the park. I mean, it just was exactly what I was looking for, and not only it's number one not only because of the amount of fun I had with it this year, but I just see it's an absolute staple. It's going to be one that I'm going to continue expanding and is going to be a blast for years to come. So there's my number one, Ryan. Cthulhu Death May Die.
Yeah, it is funny. Like, as much as there's a lot about like Kickstarter crowdfunding culture in modern board gaming that I don't like, and Cool Mini or Not is kind of at the forefront a lot of that, with just these mega hype campaigns with so many stretch goals. And, you know, it's pushing people to get way more content than they should be getting for a game, given how much they're actually going to play it.
Right.
That said, there's some great games that have come out of it. And Cthulhu Death May Die is an example of that. It's like, it's not just the Kickstarter hype. Like, it really is a very good game. And it's a game that benefits from a lot of that extra content.
Totally.
Honestly, the biggest thing I think people need to ask themselves is, am I actually going to play this game enough to use these things?
Right.
You know, we're the type of gamers that like to find games and then play them a lot, the ones that we really like. We don't need to play every new game. So for us, it's like, sweet.
Yeah.
Great opportunity.
Totally.
Cool. I'm going to take one more sip here before I launch into my number one.
While you do that, I have no idea what your number one is. I've been.
Well, then you're going to feel dumb when I say it. You're just going to, you think I've already said it probably.
Well, no, I just
You've already said it.
I just haven't been thinking that hard about it. But
Dangle talked about it very recently. This is Heat Pedal for the Metal.
I just had to think for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, and this was tough. My top like 4 on this list are actually all pretty close when I was ranking these.
Yeah.
I think, and you really touched on a lot of what I like about Heat.
Sorry.
I think there's some things that just boosted this to the number one spot for me. I think one is kind of the weight it sits in. It's kind of hard to find these, you know, people talk about like gateway welcoming games, kind of that plus, like that layer right above that, that I really enjoy and that I want to keep getting to the table. Like, I don't have like a ton of games that I feel like are in that kind of spot. He is, and it's great in that spot. Then it's a racing game, which I have yet to find before a racing game that I really liked and wanted to own, that gave me that feeling of racing. So great hit of the theme. I think the mechanisms implementing that are brilliant. Then it goes to 6 players, which that hits another niche that is hard to find. Yeah, soon to be 7. They're releasing only 1 at a time with each.
Unbelievable.
Yes, as if we're not going to get them. And so it's like, well, now I really don't have many games that play well to 6, but are kind of like a strategy game that's got a little bit more, but not, you know, a ton. Then on top of that, it plays well down to 2. My most recent game was 2-player, filling out the other 4 cars with that Legends module. Still felt great. Then you add the fact that it in the box basically has the first expansion in there with the garage module and the weather and all of this stuff. And I just love having this in my collection. Every game I have had of it has been great. I love the system and the potential to expand it. There's the Heavy Rain expansion or whatever that's been announced that's going to add, you know, map, a 7th player and some other things. I'm like, I'm going to get it. Like,
right.
So it does really kind of feel like I've found my racing game.
Yeah.
At least like for just like traditional racing, you know, there's something like, you know, you see something like Vendetta or Thunder Road Vendetta. That's like, in my mind, kind of a different category. It's like racing, but it's like beer and pretzels killing each other and craziness.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just like a racing system that just works brilliantly. So glad it had been on my must buy for almost a year before I finally was able to get a copy.
Yeah, it was hard.
I remember you messaged me at like I just like gotten out of bed and you're like, Game Nerds has Heat in stock, and they had like 50 copies or something.
Yeah,
and we each got one, and like 30 minutes later they were sold out.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh my gosh, like these. It is crazy.
It is.
And I know a lot of people are like, why aren't Days of Wonder like making enough? And I'm like, well, I think they are. It just really
It's very popular.
Everybody's buying it up.
Yeah. And I would say
so I think that bodes well for more expansions too, because it's clearly doing so well.
I would say, you know, I'm excited for the expansions, but I think the core box is good value. You know, I mean, the fact that you get 4 maps, you've got, you know, obviously the 6 racers.
You would never have to get an expansion.
No, totally.
Like if there weren't expansions for this game, I would still love it.
Yeah.
That said, you give me the ability the option to go to 7. You give me some other variability. I'm all here for it.
Well, there you go, Ryan. Those are our top 10 new games to us in 2023. Well, I want to thank you all who put up with Ryan during this video. We got through it. Let's go. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We got links to all of the games that we mentioned down below. That's a great way to support the channel. And as always, we've got a couple videos right here. Why don't you click on one of those and we will see you in the next one.